Greetings YouTube, this is Sin out of 10 for 89.13.2. I'm here to give you my top 10 wrestlers of all time. And before I start, I've got two things to say. First, I apologise for the sound. It's for some reason my recorder, records the hard drive from my computer, and there's no way I can stop it. So if you hear the weird sound, that's what it is. And number two, I've got a sore throat and I'm getting used to doing video camera, doing these kind of things, and so they sound a bit rough. You know why? So this basing the top 10 is basically who I think is the top 10 wrestlers of all time from. And it's not just WWE before people say, no, you're just picking WWE fans, wrestlers. This is it's going to be from any wrestler who's wrestling. It could be from, in my top 10 could be from ECW, it's WCW, or TNA, or all the Japanese based wrestling, or the Mexican, or I don't, my brain's gone at the moment. Anyways, let's basically get down to facts. At number 10 on my list is like I said, at number 10 is a hardcore legend, Mick Foley, other known as Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mancock. The reason why he's in my top 10, for the main reason, like I said, he is a hardcore legend. To me, he is the best. I know a lot of people that have, like, I do get comments that say, oh, he isn't the best hardcore legend in the world, mainly from hardcore ECW fans. But to me, Mick Foley is the best hardcore / wrestler there's ever been. For the main reason, he based anything he did, you could not take your eyes off when he wrestled. When I watched him in what WrestleMania was it WrestleMania 21? I think it was, when he was wrestling. Yeah, I think it was 21. WrestleMania 21, and when he was wrestling Edge in the No holds bar, when basically he gets hit, basically pulls out anything like barbed wire, basically from, I don't know what you call pins, or you Americans call thumbtacks, 2x4, and he basically will do anything to entertain the fan. Even basically went at the end of the game, being launched into basically a flaming table, being speared by Edge, getting set alight, and then getting set alight, being pulled. I think, on the top of my head, he's got basically petrol pulled onto him or not, and he just takes it. I know most wrestlers, most hardcore wrestlers, or most hardcore wrestlers do that anyway, but you more connect with Foley, especially when he was against Undertaker at Hell in a Cell, what most fans class as probably the best wrestling match they've seen in their life. I've heard lots of fans say, if you name one match you go back to watch, what would it be? And I've heard lots of wrestling fans saying, before Michael finished Taker at WrestleMania, it was Taker and Foley in Hell in a Cell. Which it was. I think it was probably Vengeance. It's either Fencing or No Mercy. It's one of them that basically got renamed, because Foley just he would just do anything just to entertain the fans. I probably just mumbled quite a bit there. Like I said, to me, Foley, sorry, I'm still getting used to this. Anyway, like I said, fully the best hardcore legend of all time. He always will, to me, be one of my favourites, especially with Rock and Sock. Probably that's one of my favourite tag teams. Right, at number 9, and I know this is getting a lot of hate, this person being so low down on my list, and many people classify him as number 1, and that's for a clue. Stone Cold Steve Austin. And what can you tell about him that boy, they basically watch CM Punk and Randy Orton or the wannabes off, and there will be, as Stone Cold was in Attitude Point, and I hand it to him. I will guarantee that Stone Cold was the main person of that Attitude Era. Even though I was a big Rock fan in that Attitude Era, I was all on the Rock side. I have to admit, even though most Rock fans won't, I will admit that Stone Cold did make that Attitude Era. The more than he had more of the area of Attitude Era than the Rock. Even though both, to me, those two wrestlers, along with DX and The Undertaker and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, were the main people who basically why the WWF final beat, why to me WWF was always better than WCW. The reason why Stone Cold is number 9 is because even though, like I said, he was probably the catalyst of the Attitude Era, I don't know how even though I thought I kind of never connected that well with. I liked him. I liked all what he did, but it's kind of thing I never really, unlike certain wrestlers above my photo on, I'm more connected. It's like being a fan. If you don't connect, they can be so good, but if you don't connect to that person, you're not. It's hard to say. You're not. It was like someone was missing to me with Stone Cold. Maybe because I'm British. Yeah, I'm British. I'm not just to be all American. Oh, you don't like Stone Cold because you're British, and that? No. My top wrestler, my favourite wrestler isn't British anyway, number 1. So don't take that with your thought. The main reason is probably maybe because I was more fan of The Rock. It was back in my. I still believe The Rock was. I still were more. It was probably I more prefer certain other wrestlers. The reason why. That's the only reason why Stone Cold is lower down than he should be to most other people, because I don't connect to him that much. Number 8, and most people will understand. Most people probably say this is because of where I come from. Number 8, to me, one of the wrestlers who I always believed before he sadly passed away, wrongly never ever became world champion or WWE champion, and there's quite a few other wrestlers I believe who still wrestle have never ever been given a world championship or WWE title. What is to me is wrong. Who I'm talking about? The British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. To me, even though most people say they will probably put him in the top 3, they would never put him in the top. To me, what he could do, even as a big man, most people when you think of a huge big man, like most people will think like Batista, the Big Show, Mark Henry, oh they can't do much, they only can do power moves, blah blah blah, they only can do one big power move, the boys sound boring. To me, when I watched Davey Boy Smith, he wore, even though he did power moves, he could do because he was trained in heart benching. He was, especially when in the tag team with the Dynamite Kid, the British Bulldogs. To me, one of my favourite tag teams of all time, the British Bulldog. He just, when you watched him with other wrestlers like Shawn Michaels, when he wrestled with Owen Hart, and when he wrestled with, of course, Bret Hart, it never seemed that they will carry him. He could go toe to toe with those wrestlers. And those other wrestlers I talked to, and they will know they weren't power. They were basically pure grapplers. They were high flyers, and he could go toe to toe with them and make it an awesome match. And I believe it's even though before he died, I still believe he should have got a title shot. He got some wrestlers who some reason be given world titles like one I can't stand at all, and I believe he still wanna be Eddie Guerrero, and I think W because the way he does, the way they made him look, like it's just a wannabe of him. I bet it was just real. I can't stand him. Really, he's so annoying. And he basically gets a world WWE title. For what? It's been there for a year and a half, and it was like when Sheamus won it. I'm going, wait, what? I'm going, what about Finlay or Regal? They've been wrestling God knows how long. I can't remember the top of my head. And I don't think either of them have won a world title, top of my head, or the WWE title. And to me, to them, they're not in my top 10, but to me, they're probably another two wrestlers that should have been world champion, should have been WWE champion. They're probably the two of the best technical wrestlers of all time. And most people say, I remember reading a comment, someone said Regal, the best wrestler ever never to win the whole of the world title, and that's kind of true. Sorry I got in a bit of a rant, but I had to get out of the way. Like I said, to me, even though most people wouldn't admit it, to me David Boy Smith is an awesome wrestler, and the reason why he's in my top 8, top 10. Right, so I'm basically bit, like I said, I'm getting used to my probably it'll be better later on in other videos, so I do apologise. Right, number 7. Again, this might cost a bit few anger. Number 7 in my top 10. The icon, the showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania, HBK, Shawn Michaels. Like, the reason why he is number 7, the reason why he's in my top 3 is like obvious. I think any wrestling fan would have Shawn Michaels in their top 10. When you don't have Shawn Michaels in your top 10, you're just an idiot. Because he won, I'm pretty sure he won every title you could think of. He did most everything first. I can't even think of many bad matches he's ever been in. Any time match he would make it was watch. I can't. Can anyone name a bad match he's been in? And the reason why he got the name the icon Mr. WrestleMania. Plus he could be serious, he could be funny, especially when he's quite. Even though it was in the PG area, it was still. I always still laugh at the DX part with Shawn Michaels being the completely forgetful person, especially the Stan theme. Basically, when he kicks the guy called Stan, that I laugh. I can't. Every time I see that kid, I always laugh. It's just so funny. It was he could just like a switch on dance. He could just change his character, and it would be you wouldn't miss a bit. You would not miss a beat. The reason why he's not in my top higher up is, like I said, with Stone Cold. Even though I thought it was awesome wrestling, even though I think he was one of the best in the competitors, he could do high risk, he could do grapples, he could be quick, he could basically go toe to toe with the big people. The main reason, like I said, with Stone Cold is I never connect. It was basically the connection again, basically. There's some wrestlers like I said, some wrestlers you have connection with, some wrestlers you don't. Shawn Michaels, like Stone Cold, I was a fan, but I wasn't a fan, as you get. Like I always like when the wrestler turned heel, you will basically still cheer them, if that makes sense. I more cheer the other wrestlers, say they win against, say one of my other favourite wrestlers against Shawn Michaels, say he was a heel, I would cheer on my other favourite wrestler, not Shawn Michaels. Like, when Stone Cold turned heel, I hated him, completely hated Stone Cold. And when Rock came back, I was basically so much giving Stone Cold hate. I was so Terry's fucking. You kind of get what I mean. Right, at number 6 is a wrestler who's just come back to WWE. Y2J Chris Jericho. To me, Y2J is like Shawn Michaels, even though some people like him. Y2J is a Shawn Michaels movie. I've had to hear that before. Even though Shawn Michaels has said that he idolised Michaels when he was wrestling, to me I think Y2J can stand toe to toe with Shawn Michaels as. So you think about it, Y2J was the first ever undisputed world champion, and he beat Stone Cold and Rock. Yes, I know that he got helped, but even that, you still beat probably the top 2 attitude wrestlers of all time. Most people say one of the top 5 wrestlers of all time, who they're top 5. Put them ahead, to me, Y2J, like Shawn Michaels, he could completely change his wrestling character on a dime. He could be serious, when he was a fan favourite, he was funny as hell, especially on the mic. All the jokes he did with Stephanie McMahon are worth hearing. It's when he was a heel, you really felt he meant it, especially with the Shawn Michaels bit. Even though I still cheered for Chris Jericho when he was a heel quite a lot of the time, especially with Shawn Michaels, because especially at the moment, I'm more on Y2J's side against CM Punk, the wannabe Y2J. Yes, I said that. What, Chris? Yes, your phone. Yes, I said that. CM Punk fans. CM Punk is a wannabe Y2J. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate mail Punk fans say that. But to me, Y2J, when he came back, especially this Raw thing, when he basically said everyone is a Y2 wannabe, you think about it, CM Punk calls him he's the best in the world. Flashback to way in the 2000s, Y2J, king of the world. And what else? What else was I saying? Especially when CM Punk goes on his pipe bomb, Y2J always was the first person to basically go over the line when he spoke. If people go back to that era, when Y2J joined, from WCW, he was somebody who override what he said, especially to Stephanie McMahon. I'm not going to say stuff, because if you know wrestling fans will know what Jericho said quite off. You wouldn't be allowed to say it in the PG area. To basically what Chris Jericho said in the 2000s, he wouldn't be allowed to say it, or he'd probably be kicked off TV. Like I said, when it came to his wrestling, what can I say? Jericho is probably, in today's wrestling group in WWE now at the moment, who to me Y2J is probably the best wrestler at the moment in WWE. Because if you don't prove him wrong, can you think of any wrestler personally can out wrestle Y2J in WWE at the moment? CM Punk, nope. Cena, nope. Even though I'm not a heel fan, nope. Kofi Kingston, nope. I really can't think. No wrestler who probably could would be wrestler who probably couldn't match Y2J, although it would be The Rock who comes back, who couldn't match Y2J. There are wrestlers who sadly passed away or they don't wrestle anymore, who could probably match Y2J. Anyway, number 5. I think I spent 20 minutes rambling. I probably had 2 minutes of saying why. Number 5 is Undertaker. He is in my top 5 because, let's face it, Undertaker is the soul of WWE. There's probably no person could match Undertaker's mind games. The presence he brings to that ring each every day. When I was young, growing up watching wrestling in that era, he was the one wrestler that I was terrified of, especially when he was in the Ministry of Darkness area. When I was probably about 5, 6, 7, when that was going on, and I was just terrified of him. He just scared the living dialect out of me. It was like, if you name one wrestler you wouldn't want to meet down a dark alley at the dark night, who would it be? And to me it would be Undertaker. Because if you saw Undertaker appear in the Battle of Shadow, you will basically shit yourself. He's just got that sends chills down your spine. You can't describe how the way he plays with your mind, and how he's able to do that, even though he's lost a tiny bit from what you expect him wrestling over 20 years, he still can make you left speechless. Even though he's slowly stopped losing his, I don't know, I wouldn't say, you know, because he's getting older, that's expected for a wrestler to lose it, but for his skill. But even that, you gotta have total respect for a wrestler who can basically stay out be injured and still go out there and entertain the fans, even with over the years not get bored of it, and still be one of the most feared wrestlers, and how hopefully they'll let him go to 20 and he will try at that. I'm just hoping they don't do it, but they make him lose his final match at WrestleMania. That will be the worst thing that WWE could do. So, to me, Undertaker should hit 20 and retire, because every fan knows this is most likely his last WrestleMania, and they should let him have the honour of letting him be undefeated as a thank you for his service for the WWE over the years. Number 4 is the best there was. Oh, I can't say it right. The best there is, the best there was. Yeah. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. The Hitman, Bret the Hitman Hart. To me, probably the best submission wrestler of all time. I probably would say he's in my top grappler / submission holder, because the way his attitude was you just wanted to be Bret Hart. You want to basically have his sunglasses, you wanted his jacket, you just wanted to be Bret Hart. And the way he wrestled was awesome. He basically, like he said, he was a man of execution. He was just quote Mr. Perfect for what he did. He never missed a beat. And I've always it's like, even though he wasn't the best on the mic, his voice just made you go, you didn't care it wasn't good. like his mat skills made up for his lack of mic skill, because like say Stone Cold, like is you have Stone Cold like the reversal with like Stone Cold, most also Stone Cold, his mic skills were the best of him, and his mic skills made up for his wrestling skills. When the other round one could be safe for Bret Hart, that his wrestling skills made up for his mic, because like I said, Bret Hart with pure wrestling mat skills was no one could touch him. There's only two wrestlers I would say above him. One of them who he father trained. That might be a clue who's above him. And like I said, I'm trying to stop from not saying much. Number 3. Right, get down after 26 minutes we finally get to number 3. I do, if I bore people to death, I apologise with my mumbling. Number 3, to me, is the most electrifying man, you know. Sorry. Not used to YouTube. Basically, the Brother Bull, the Great One, the People's Champ, the most electrifying man in all sports entertainment, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. To me, when I grew up, for a long time, Rock was probably my number 1 favourite of all time. It was only like in about 2000 when the two wrestlers above him took over for me as my favourite. They sparked The Rock. To me, when I watched that shit, The Rock just, anything The Rock really did was, I could not turn my eyes off The Rock. He could sing, most fans know that he could sing, he could make you laugh, even with I even cheered for him when he was a heel. That kind of shows you most fans who love their favourite wrestlers will still cheer for them as heels. And I always still cheered, even when they was basically going against the idiot Derby Hill Hurricane. I just wanted to rock the pieces, shoot him off 150 miles upwards. Boom. Get off. You're not even worth. You're not even worth the Rock's time. You don't deserve to be in the Rock's ring. You don't even. You. Always people. You don't even. He doesn't have. When even, I don't even why they even put Hurricane Helm in at right for Rock at that time. Hurricane Helm doesn't even have the. Isn't good enough to tie Rock's shoes. To me, The Rock is oh, sorry. I don't want to restart, so I promise my fingers to be better next time. Anyway, like I said, number 3 is Rock, The Rock. Where was I? I do apologise. Right, like I said, The Rock. Through the attitude, like I said, through the attitude of The Rock, when he was basically going from face heel, it was, even though when he was a face, when he was a heel, he still had fans cheering for him. That kind of showed how good he was as a wrestler. His mic skills were probably in the attitude area. Although like Y2J, Y2J and Eddie Guerrero probably could max The Rock on the mic, because he would basically own anyone who tried to go toe to toe with the Great One. Because even when Y2J would Rock on the mic, he got destroyed. Even though sometimes Y2J will win some mics, The Rock was still owned, with 9 out of 10 would beat Y2J in the mic contest. Especially And it was even more funny when he's got these today's wrestlers when John Cena tried to go toe to toe with the Great One. I mean, Rock, when he was making jokes about Rock not being there, Rock based on his, even though it annoys me a tiny bit being a Rock fan that he does that, but I can't understand why, because it is tied to a contract. He can't. Most in America, if you break our contract, we're going to sue you for all the money you got. I think Rock more wants to protect his family and his career. Make a video. At least he's making a video. I hate one thing I'll talk about fans calling Rock a basically betrayer of wrestling. He basically stuck his nose out all the fans are going, no he didn't. What about Hulk Hogan when he wouldn't make movies? What about Stone Cold when he's gone off? He comes back a couple of times. You forget, around back last time in 2003, Rock did say that he was going to retire after he faced Brock Lesnar. And he did come back, and he's come back time to time. So he hasn't. I just don't understand some people when they bash the Rock, saying, "Oh, you left. He's basically backs down all the wrestling fans. He's backed down all his fans." No, he hasn't. I just can't stand people when they basically, especially CM Punk and John Cena when they bash the Rock. He basically one of the main reasons you basically now wrestle, so show him respect. They didn't such a wrestler as the Rock or Stone Cold, they all go, oh no, because he basically bashed you, and when he came back he inducted his grandfather, inducted his family into the meal, and he basically made a few jokes. All the fucking wrestling fans, all the wrestlers all got hurt. How dare you back and insult me? Who does he think he is? I know, he did it all the time. Because he finally came back and make jokes and make the fans laugh. Because he insulted a couple of you wrestlers and you can't take a joke. I can't stand one wrestler like Randy Orton bashing the Rock. Going, you're bashing the Rock because the Rock's so much better than you. You're just jealous because the Rock was the first ever third. Because you're both third generation superstars. And the Rock basically is so much better than you. And I don't care if Orton fans, how dare you insult Randy Orton? To me, Orton has always been, to me in my eyes, since when Rock first met, or when we first saw the Orton versus Rock, I would like to see a match between them two so Rock can finally basically cream that idiot. Because I can't stand Orton. Because Orton is just a basically money grabbing whore. And they call John Cena basically stuck up Vince McMahon's arm. Look at Randy Orton. Remember that Mr. Kennedy got fired because, oh my god, he injured Randy Orton. I'm going to fire him because Mr. Orton basically argued to Vince McMahon or Triple H that he nearly injured him, so he was booking sacked Mr. Kennedy. Yeah, and apparently I'm pretty sure that's true. You won't moan about Randy Orton being, oh, he's such a great wrestler. No, he isn't. All he does, because it's his fighter. So what? There's been excellent solo wrestlers all night. Doesn't matter if he's a solo wrestler. But to me, Big Show's a good wrestler, even being slow. I don't care what people say Big Show's big, but he's not boy as Randy Orton. And when he's basically transformed and goes into fighter mode, that's another wannabe of Stone Cold. The reason why he's called Viper because you can't be called a rattlesnake because basically he's just trying to copy Stone Cold, and Stone Cold was a slow wrestler as well, and people love Stone Cold. Yes, a lot of times Stone Cold wasn't a fast wrestler. He did slow basically boom boom boom. He wasn't quick, and Stone Cold still made lots of fans happy. Compared to Orton, Orton can't do it. He's just stupid. So we got a bit of rant mode with Orton. Like I said about The Rock. I bet 25 minutes of me just ranting off about stuff, not actually talking about the top 10. So I do apologise again. Like I said, we'll get better in other videos. Like I said, The Rock voice he could do was just basically, it was just all around just awesome. Especially when he was doing making fun of Billy Gunn. I just can't remember the top of my head. Just go onto YouTube and type in I don't know, just type in after Royal Rumble rock mocking Billy Gunn when he's doing the whole well, he's not acting as Billy Gunn saying, Doug, my name's Billy. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Why did it matter? So, I just found that was effing funny when he mocks wrestlers, especially when the thing that's what's the basic catching. Oh yeah, Las Vegas, sorry. When they're, I think it's what they're in Las Vegas when they're basically when Rock's mocking Mick Foley, when it's Mankind, Big Show, and when he calls Undertaker tattoos Mickey Mouse tattoos. like I said, especially when you wrestle as well, he was awesome. He could do grapple moves, he could submission, especially when he did the People's Club, it would basically send goosebumps, like you said, goosebumps down your spine every time he did the most electrifying move of all sorts of things. People's Herbal. And even today, he still gets the loudest pop. In most, like I said, Rock was like I said, to me, Rock one of the best of all time, but he's number 3. Right, number 2, and this is going to be, before I even start, the reason he's in my top 10, I don't want people going, he's a murderer, he shouldn't have been anyone's top 10 because he killed. We don't know what happened for some reason. To me, we don't, even though I know more, but I get annoyed like the news people posting stuff at the time when they didn't actually know the true story of like what Chris Benoit explained how bad he was how bad he actually was when they found out that his brain. If you didn't know, basically, my number 2 you haven't guessed is Chris Benoit. The reason why even to me, Chris Benoit was probably the best mat wrestler of all time, bar none. He could mat wrestle anyone, even though, especially, I think his best matches were with, especially when he was going toe to toe with Kurt Angle. Even though I put Kurt in my top 10, he is probably 11th. I would say Kurt Angle probably 11th for me. To me, like I said, Benoit could go toe to toe. Even though he wasn't, like I said, he wasn't like The Rock. He wasn't a big dude. He wasn't buff. He wasn't power. He just basically was pure aggression, like I said, toothless aggression. He was just like Wolverine. He would just go and go and go and go and go and go. He would give 120, 100,000% in that ring, and you could see why he loved the business, why he lived and died for wrestling fans, why wrestling was his life. Especially why WrestleMania 3 is my favourite WrestleMania, when you see him finally winning the world title, and next to him is Eddie Guerrero. To me, when they hug, that's probably the best moment of wrestling ever. To me, as a fan, watching them two finally being on top of the mountain, knowing how hard it is. They basically worked their entire life to get to number 1 in being point, and because of their size, being told, being bashed by the big basic governments, by WCW, saying because they're not huge ass people, like, what is with Hulk Hogan, Mr. Buff Man, ooh! Or people like someone like Hulk, basically like Chris Benoit, even though he wasn't as mic, but when he spoke on the mic, he shut up and listened to Chris Benoit. He just went straight down to business. even that, and most people go say, oh, why are you paying another tibia to murder? We don't know what happened, why he snapped. To me, I won't remember, even though it's a sad thing what happened to Chris Benoit and his family. To me, I always remember Benoit, like most wrestling fans, and most actually wrestlers who actually still know him. I've never seen a wrestler basically bash him, say he was a horrible man. I've heard a French man say it because he's trying to make himself look far away from Chris Benoit as possible. But if someone can prove to me, because send me a video of Benoit being masked by another wrestler. I've always heard it, people starting their Chris Benoit as a person, they would never believe that. They don't understand what happened, because what happened to that person on that day, probably 5 minutes of something horrible wouldn't happen in Benoit's mind when, and even though no one would know, I honestly believe Benoit did not do that out of cold blood. I think something in his mind just went, because what happened with his wrestling being shot, that they proved that his brain was so badly messed up. You don't know, because the drugs could have been part of it. You just don't know what happened. And I would more happily remember Benoit as the person in the ring, as the person who he always been in my mind as a great wrestler. So, number one. Like, finally get to, like, countdown from 10 to down to 2. At number 10, Mick Foley. Number 9, Stone Cold. Number 8, David Boy Smith, aka Brits Bull. Number 7, HBK, Shawn Michaels. Number 6, Y2J. Number 5, The Undertaker. Number 4, Bret the Hitman Hart. Number 3, The Rock. Number 2, The Rebel Wolverine, Chris Benoit. And number 1, Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero. To me, Eddie was probably the perfect package of mic and wrestling. Like I said, if you ask me, one of my dream matches was watching Eddie versus Benoit fighting for the United title. When they was basically bringing back the United, when they brought the United States Championship into WWE, when it was basically in the final we had Eddie and Benoit. It was just awesome watching that match to me, and especially with Kurt Angle, when he wrestled Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20, Brock Lesnar when he when he wrestled Brock Lesnar at No Way Out, winning the WWE title. I can still remember me jumping up and down, cheering in happiness when he won that title. To me, most people really connected to the fans. He made you cry, he made you laugh, he made you hate him when he was a heel. Especially with Rey Mysterio, I actually did feel so much hate from what he did to Rey. And then when he went back to face, then I loved him again. He could just make you, he plays with your emotion. Somehow he could pull your heartstrings. And most people say that Eddie stole our hearts when he went to heaven. And that is true. And when he was on the mic, he was so funny, especially his lines. Everyone loves it when he did his lines, he still stuff. Show me someone who hate. I could not point one bad thing about Eddie at all. I can't think of anything bad about him. When he was in the wrestling ring, he was like like Cena said in an interview that he was basically like a father figure in most people wrestlers said Eddie was like a father figure in when they were off days. He was like a who would go to Eddie when they needed help, when they needed advice. And then it shows him when he basically drove them, when he had a drug problem. That kind of shows the amount of mental strength Eddie had to do something that not many people could do, was to beat the drugs and alcohol problem and be clear or something and know that he had a problem, admit to it, and he basically beat his demons. And it's just a sad thing that him to die after going through all that hell to beat his demons, and then sadly that he basically and it's for that to happen to him, not fair at all. Because when I read about Eddie dying, I just didn't want to believe it. I did not want. Same when I heard about Chris Benoit, I was like living a nightmare. I could not believe. I thought I was in a dream when I heard the news. And it was like when Eddie died. It was like that. It's even today something's missing in wrestling. Like when Eddie and Chris Benoit died, same with when Owen Hart died, it felt like something through wrestling disappeared. And when Eddie died, he's like, you felt something wasn't right. After Eddie died, even today when I watch wrestling, it's the missing. Even you got some wrestlers trying to connect, like no one could connect to the fans like he could. And there's probably no one else and there will probably never will be another person like Eddie Guerrero. Even it's an insult to me that they're trying to use Alberto Rio as a wannabe. I'm not even going to call him wannabe. He doesn't believe to be anything competent to Eddie's name. Because to me, Eddie is God, but Rio is probably Polito. If you go to Polito and you go further to Polito and further, and it's like it might make sense. It's say Eddie's God and Alberto Rio is not even smaller than an atom. That's what I believe. To me, is where they are compared to each other. But Eddie Guerrero is like probably the god of wrestling, and Alberto Rio is basically a little atom of wrestling. And it is to me an insult that some people even classing Alberto Rio as the next Eddie Guerrero, because that's an insult and to Eddie. Well, thank you. Thank you for watching my top 10 wrestlers. My top 10 wrestlers of all time. I do apologise if I ramble quite a lot. I hope my videos will be shorter, unless somehow you liked it. Me rambling. I do apologise that I will stop rambling on and on and on, and I'll get straight to the point, and then my video will be better. Like I said, thank you if you stayed watching. I hope to hear back from you soon. If you want to give me a little tips on how I can improve myself, write down in the comments below. If you want to, or send me an email. If you liked it, give me a smile, or basically give me a tip. Like I said, it's just my top 10 of all time. It might not be, you might disagree, you might agree. Like I said, I'm not saying who I believe. This is, like I said, my top 10 of wrestlers, and I'll probably make I might make a video of my top 5 wrestlers at the moment, and I also might do a top 10 of wrestlers I think are the most overrated of all time. So I'll see you soon. Peace out.